Former Donald Trump lawyer Tim Parlatore is loving the fact that he is out there in the media all the time. You know, he's getting calls from papers asking for his comments about what's happening. And I do think he is enjoying it a little bit, especially knowing that he's freed from the burden of possibly going down with Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that he has become an anti-Trumper or that he's out there trashing Donald Trump. In fact, quite to the contrary. He's still very complimentary of Donald Trump. He is saying these charges are bogus, but he did let something slip the other day that actually could have a big impact on this case. And it wasn't specifically something about the case, but he mentioned the legal tactics that Donald Trump's team is going to use to potentially delay this case for years. Here's what it is. Well, before I even get into that, let's make one thing clear. Judge Aileen Cannon, the Trump-appointed judge who has, ruled in his favor multiple times, she is the one who gets to set the timeline for the case. So she could say right now, trial's gonna be in 2 years. At which case, oh crap, now we're kind of having our hands tied here. It's gonna be put off for 2 years. So she gets to set the initial timetable, and you can bet it's probably gonna be something that she believes is gonna work to the advantage of Donald Trump. Now, Jack Smith, special prosecutor, said they're going to try to seek a speedy trial. South Florida is actually known for their so-called rocket docket, which means they go through cases pretty quickly, get them in, get them out, get them on. But this is a big one. I don't think we're going to see something, by the end of the month. But Judge Cannon is going to set the initial timeline. And once that timeline is set, that's when Parlatore says that Trump's remaining lawyers, he doesn't have a ton left, but he's got some, that's when they're going to do everything they can to slow the process down even further. Every motion that happens during discovery, Tim Parlatore says Trump's lawyers are likely going to appeal it. And then they're going to appeal that and appeal it and appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court as many times as possible. And he says that every time that happens, anytime there's a piece of evidence introduced, they can be like, nope, we don't want this, we'll file a motion. The judge will have to issue a ruling, then they can appeal it, then that court will issue a ruling eventually, then they can appeal that, and so on and so forth. Each one of those appeal processes, by the way, Parlatore says could take up to 3 months to resolve. So every time they do it, everything stops in its tracks, basically, and gets put off for 3 months. Then they do it again, there's another 3 months. They do have the potential to drag this thing out for a couple years. Now, there will be limits on what they're able to do, and I'm sure they don't want to piss the judge off too much, but that is the reality that we're facing. For those of you thinking we might get some justice by the end of the year, we might know something by the end of the summer, no. We are not going to have any resolution to this in 2023. At least if Tim Parlatore, who worked with these lawyers, if what he's saying is accurate, it could be after the 2024 election before we get closure on this particular case. Thanks for watching, everyone, and well, here comes the awkward part at the end of the video where I ask you to like, comment, and share, and subscribe for more content from Ring of Fire. Also, you should consider becoming a member for some exclusive content and perks, including early access videos and exclusive videos. Check out the link in the description.